This podcast was recorded on Gadigal land.
We would like to acknowledge the Gadigal of the Eora Nation, the traditional custodians of this land, and pay our respects to the elders both past and present.
Always was, always will be Aboriginal land. Welcome to High Stakes.
The podcast about the famous feuds, frenemies, and falling outs you've forgotten about.
I'm Laura Marcia.
And I'm Maddie Bogish, and we are two Sydney-based journalists obsessed with all things celeb goss, and ourselves.
Absolutely right. Absolutely. But before we get into the drama, Maddie, how's your week been?
My week has been good. I feel like it's a bit of a rinse and repeat. Every day I wake up, I text you, tell you how busy I am.
Yes.
You do the same.
Yes.
But everyone's like that at the moment. I think it's that time of year. I did, however, treat myself to some yochi for dinner last night.
Oh, I love yochi.
Controversial though. I was telling my sister about it and I said, hey, she was like, what are you having for dinner? And I was like, oh, I'm having yochi. She was like, yochi? That's not a dinner food.
I mean, she's right.
Not if you're spending $20 on yochi.
That's a big yochi.
Anything is dinner food if it's like enough, I think.
I agree with you wholeheartedly. I don't think we should be discriminating against food like when we eat them. I'm a big proponent for that with breakfast. Like I'll eat anything for breakfast. I'll have curry for breakfast. I'll have pizza for breakfast. I can see you think I've gone too far here.
You think you've gone too far. I just want a sweet treat for dinner and you're having like a full-fledged feast for breakfast.
Delicious. But I will say though, as we just did before recording, we both always get like a coffee and a little treat because as we deserve a sweet treat. But you're more of a sweet tooth and I'm very much a savoury girl. So I just had like a kimchi and cheese scroll and you just had like a pandan coconut donut.
Yummy.
So yeah, we're two ends of the spectrum, but at least we both agree that food should be eaten at any time.
Oh, absolutely. Don't come for me and tell me that I can't have yochi for dinner.
I won't. What do you put on your yochi? Because I swear like some people go all out health girl or boy and other people go like full like sour straps.
Okay, well no sour straps here. That's for children. Sorry.
Oh, okay, all right, a bit much.
I'm offending children. No, my yochi is generally a mix. So like I'll do strawberries, raspberries, then I'll do like a brownie and then some Nutella and then I'll also do the pistachio puppy spread, my favourite. Sometimes I'll do blueberries. I also don't mind the muesli granola situation.
I like the crunch of that.
It really depends what mood I'm in.
Do you know what I like? So I'm a textural girl. I'll always do like sprinkle because I like the colours and I like the crunchy crunch.
Child.
No, when you said the thing about sour straps, I was like, oh, I've been read because I really like sour straps.
Okay, well then I guess that's how my week's been. How's your week been?
It's been good. I've had a really bad hair week. I don't know. I've had a real struggle.
She's in a big hair era.
Yeah, no, it's been big and just moving as one singular mass. So yeah, sorry about that. But yeah, no, otherwise I also discovered this week that I am an iPad baby.
How?
Well, okay. So at work the other day, so I have, just for the record, I have one of those sticky things at the back of my phone.
Yep. Your case is a fever dream.
I love it. It's just a bunch of like silly little frogs, but it's peeling. It's like a Casetify one and I love it, but like it is peeling off. So I just stuck one of those sticky things you can put on the wall so you can film stuff. See?
How long have you had that case?
Not as long as you'd think. I just stuck it to my laptop and I'm waving my laptop around.
For those tuning in on video, please watch this.
Yeah, that was it. That was the sticky things coming off.
Sounded like a fart.
It wasn't a fart. We've got video proof that it wasn't a fart. No. So I've had it for a little while and the sticky thing is maybe like 2 months old. And I did it because I wanted to start being more like, I wanted to start filming more TikToks and being more online.
Yep.
But now I realize my biggest use for it is when I'm cooking dinner, I stick it on my wall so I watch Below Deck or like a show that I've got to watch for work.
Oh, okay.
Yes. And so someone at work, like this girl, she's new. I really like her. And I feel like we're slowly developing our friendship. However, she totally read me to filth the other day because she was like, oh, what's this for? And I was like, oh, I like to stick it on the wall when I'm cooking dinner. I like to stick it on the wall when I'm cooking dinner.
Yeah.
And she was like, what are you, an iPad baby? And I was like, oh.
iPad adult.
iPad adult. And I tried to defend myself. And then throughout the week, I've been thinking about it. And I thought, you know what? She's absolutely right. Read to filth. But I guess that's how all good friendships start.
And also, it really does double down on you being an absolute child, getting sour straps and sprinkles on your bloody yochi.
I like what I like. You know what I mean?
Don't yuck someone else's yum.
Literally.
Here I am. I will yuck it until I die.
Okay, fair enough. And that's what friendship's for.
Absolutely.
Oh.
But should we get into it?
Let's do it.
Okay. For the main course this week, we're looking at the drama between two of the beefiest blokes in showbiz, Vin Diesel and Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. Yes, the Tooth Fairy and the Pacifier had beef. Laura, what are your thoughts on these guys?
2-3 the pacifier. I like them. I think they're funny. My favorite thing though, I think I swing towards The Rock a little bit more purely because like he was known as The Rock for so long in WWE, and then one day when he got into film, and I think he just started to age, he was like, I just want the world to know that my name's Dwayne. And so he became Dwayne The Rock Johnson. And there's something about that really tickles me.
I just also think that Dwayne doesn't suit him.
When I think of Dwayne, if I'm honest with you, I think of he's really nice and he wears a button up and he plays Magic the Gathering and he's always super polite to your friends. That's what I'm thinking about Dwayne.
Yeah, it's almost very Dwight adjacent.
Yeah. What is it? Beats, Bears, Battlestar Galactica.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay. But he's not like that. Dwayne is really big in this context.
Mm-hmm. Yes. So great name.
Yeah.
And Vin Diesel has a pretty good name too.
I do like that. Very broom broom.
Yes. Perfect for participating in a movie franchise all about cars that go broom broom.
Oh, I'm sure we'll get into that. But I also love how they've both been in films where they're both like this big muscly guy who's also like a total softie. Like The Pacifier was one of my favorite movies as a kid, where Vin Diesel's like, oh, I'm big and muscly, but I also love children. But anyway, let's get into who these fellas are and how they became a household name. Dwayne The Rock Johnson was born on May 2nd, 1972. That makes him 52 years old today and a Taurus. He was born in California to his mother, Ada Fitzimanu, and his father, Rocky Johnson, who was a professional wrestler. Growing up, he briefly lived in New Zealand, where he played rugby for a little bit before heading back to the US. So Ada was Samoan and Rocky was Black Nova Scotian, and his dad made history as being the first black tag team champion in the WWE in 1983. But that's not Dwayne's only connection to wrestling. Dwayne's mother, Ada, was the adopted daughter of a pro wrestler, his uncle was a wrestler, and his grandmother, Leah, was one of the first female pro wrestling promoters. So it's basically written in stone that baby Dwayne would go on to do some wrestling. But we'll get into that in a little minute. He spent most of his childhood and early teens in California, but as Dwayne got to around 16, 17 years old, he started getting in with the wrong crowd. He was getting arrested for theft and petty crime and getting into fights. He even got suspended and had a write-up in his local newspaper for being a troubled teenager with a history of run-ins with police. However, as if it was out of a movie, a high school football coach saw promise in Dwayne and his bulky frame and said, wow, that boy could do well in the team. And from there, it kind of changed everything for him. On Oprah's masterclass, he said, my thought process started to change. That's when I started thinking about goals and what I wanted to accomplish.
I think I'd love this as a biopic.
Oh, I would love
It'd be a good one, wouldn't it?
I'd feel really inspired just from this alone, this bit. But he played footy for 4 years at the University of Miami, but he was sadly passed over by the NFL. And this was really devastating for him. But eventually he switched his focus and at 23 years old decided to follow in his father's footsteps to become a pro wrestler. In 1997, he made his debut under the name of Rocky Maivia, a combination of his dad and his grandfather's ring names. He climbed swiftly up the wrestling ranks, and as it stands, The Rock is globally known as one of the best wrestlers of all time, winning 10 WWE World Championships. However, he left the WWE in 2004, but has made a bunch of sporadic appearances between then and his official retirement in 2019. In 2001, he landed his first ever acting gig in The Mummy Returns. Do you remember that?
No.
Okay.
Not in the slightest. Sorry. I love that when you ad-lib these questions, I'm like, I have no idea. You put me on the spot. I don't know. I haven't got a clue.
You don't even remember The Mummy?
No.
With Brendan Fraser?
No.
Okay, fair enough. Moving on. He did really well in this, just so you know.
Cool.
He was kind of like the evil guy. I'm just going to double check that.
Big thing for him then. One moment, please.
Was the Scorpion King evil? Evil warlord. Okay, cool.
So you were right.
Anyway, yes, so he's this evil character and he did so well in this and people loved him so much in this that the next starring role was entirely written for his character, the Scorpion King, in The Scorpion King.
Nice.
And he received $5.5 million US for this role, which put him in the Guinness World Records for the highest salary for the first time leading man ever at the time.
It's a lot of money.
That's a lot of money. Pay us that.
I want to be the Scorpion King.
Same. Me as a scorpion.
Sorry, just to paint a picture for those listening, we are currently clapping our hands together like scorpions. We
do need to relax, I think.
Bring it back.
But the drama that we're talking about today happened all because of a 2011 film called Fast 5 and its franchise Fast and the Furious. In Fast 5, Dwayne played a beloved character called Luke Hobbs, who was a tough guy who used to work for the Diplomatic Security Service.
Is that a real thing?
Actually, it is. So it's like special agents protecting government secrets and personnel. So that's inherently interesting. Mm-hmm. But I bet a real life job of that is just like paperwork.
They're just in the back stamping things like done.
It's like how a lot of spy work is just like handing envelopes to other people.
Oh, I really want to be a spy.
No, I genuinely think I'd be a good one.
Yeah, you would. We've had this discussion before.
I know. And
you get people to talk. I just would talk at someone. I'd be the type of person people are targeting. The spies are out being like, if we want information, go to this girl. She will run her mouth.
No, you'd be the misinformation target. You'd be sent out purely to start misinformation. You'd be like, I heard someone said this. You would.
I see that for me.
Anyway.
Back to Dwayne.
Back to Dwayne. So in Dwayne's personal life, he was married to a businesswoman and professional bodybuilder, Danny Garcia, from 1997 to 2007. And they had one daughter named Simone, who is currently a wrestler under the name of Ava. So continuing on the family legacy. And then Dwayne met Lauren Hashian in 2007, and they are married with two daughters named Jasmine and Tiana.
Like little princesses.
Yes. And now, on to Vin Diesel.
Perfect. Vin Diesel was born on July 18, 1969, making him a Cancer.
Emotional king.
I love that. And did you know Vin Diesel's actually not his real name?
Oh, I didn't, but I'm not surprised.
So his real name is actually Mark Sinclair.
So it's not even short for Vincent.
No, there's no Vin or Diesel anywhere in his name.
Okay, he took a few liberties with that one, but I guess a stage name's a stage name.
Yeah, it's true. So we will refer to him as Vin.
Yeah.
Regardless. And Vin was born in California, but grew up in New York City with his mother, his twin brother, and his stepfather, Irving Vincent.
Maybe that's where the Vincent comes
I
from.
dare say that's where the Vincent comes from.
I feel better now that we know that.
And Irving was a theatre manager, and I like to think that's what inspired little Mark to become a thespian. Irving even gave Mark, soon to be Vin, some of his first on-stage roles as a 7-year-old. As a genetically blessed big guy, Vin worked as a club bouncer while still in his teens. Although he went to college for a bit, he later dropped out to pursue acting and headed to LA to try his luck. Another thing that could be a biopic. Sadly, this didn't work out for Vin, and about 5 years later, he returned home to New York City.
This adds texture to the biopic.
He does.
Yeah.
He's back and forth, baby. Instead of feeling defeated, he decided to make a short film based on his life called Multifacial in 1995, which is about a biracial actor struggling to be cast in anything.
We got ahead of ourselves. He kind of did his own biopic.
Yeah, he did. It's true, he did do his own biopic.
Go Vin.
Never mind. In 1997, he released his first film called Strays, and, fun fact, he actually raised the funds for that one by working as a telemarketer.
Hello, Vin calling.
I love it.
Me too.
I would give him all my money.
I wouldn't, but
He's got a good voice.
He has a great voice.
Yeah. And that's all you need to be a telemarketer.
Yeah.
But his big break happened when the one and only Steven Spielberg cast him in the 1998 blockbuster hit Saving Private Ryan. Now, doesn't this kind of inspire you to follow your dreams?
Yeah, look at us now, doll.
I want Spielberg to come up to me and cast me in Saving Private Ryan.
Missed your opportunity.
I was only 2 at the time. Anyway, I'd keep digressing. This was the break Vin needed, launching into the acting scene, but it was his role as Dominic Toretto, the charming bad boy street racer in Fast and the Furious, that really put Vin Diesel on the map. The first Fast and Furious brought in a whopping $145 million USD at the box office in the USA and inspired a whole franchise with over 10 additional films. He went on to appear in other action films, comedies like The Pacifier, a classic, and The Chronicles of Riddick, just to name a couple. He also has done some voice acting work, famously voicing Groot from the Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yes, Groot. Groot. I bet it was hard for him to remember all his lines for that.
Why?
Because he just said, I am Groot.
Oh,
Oh.
I didn't know that. Sorry, I haven't seen the movie. I have no idea.
All good. Let's get into the drama, shall we?
Yeah, let's do it.
What was that?
These two baldies butting heads.
Mad dog.
Is that loud?
No, I snorted on mine. I was like, why is she clapping? We already did that. Stop. That's so funny. Okay, all right. I'm glad you didn't tell me that one earlier.
You might not have laughed.
So, it all started back in 2015 when The Rock and Vin Diesel were filming the 8th film in the Fast and the Furious franchise, The Fate of the Furious. This was a huge production with a smattering of stars including Kurt Russell, Elsa Pataky and Charlize Theron, which honestly is really, really big for number 8. Like, it's an 8th sequel. That's crazy to me.
Yeah, it is. It's huge.
Bonkers. Then, in 2016, as The Fate of the Furious was being filmed, The Rock posted on Instagram. He wrote, "There's no other franchise that gets my blood boiling more than this one. My female co-stars are always amazing and I love them. My male co-stars, however, are a different story. Some conduct themselves as stand-up men and true professionals, while others don't. The ones that don't are too chicken shit to do anything about it anyway. Candy asses. When you watch this movie next April and it seems like I'm not acting in some of these scenes and my blood is legit boiling, you're right."
Hang on a minute. I'm just going to have a little caveat
Hit
here.
me.
That just kind of sounds like something a bad actor would say.
Do you think so? Because I think what he's saying is like he's almost method. Like in this moment, he was actually feeling angry.
No.
So if it's believable, I think he's saying that if it's believable, it's because he was actually angry.
Oh.
But I think both interpretations could be true.
Oh, yeah, maybe. The way I read it, I was like, that sounds like something a bad actor would say.
Fair enough. No, I get that. I also think it's like crazy unprofessional while this movie is filming to write something like this. He did later delete this post, but like pretty ballsy posting this about your co-stars.
The people have already seen it.
Mm-hmm. And at the time, TMZ reported that The Rock was talking about specifically his co-star Vin Diesel. And while we do have to take TMZ with a pinch of salt, grain of salt. What am I adding? Seasoning?
A shake of salt.
A shake of salt. But later after this, more reputable publications like People, Hollywood Reporter, and Page Six also reported that there was drama between these two muscle men. And the sources claimed that Vin was pissed at The Rock because he was either late to filming or just didn't show up. One insider said that the vibes had been building up for months before Dwayne's Instagram post, which called out Vin.
But this wasn't confirmed directly by the two big dogs until after the film was released in 2017, when Vin Diesel publicly spoke about his relationship with The Rock. The difference was Vin claimed that the pair were actually pretty close. He said, "I think some things may be blown out of proportion. I don't think that was his intention. I know he appreciates how much I work this franchise. In my house, he's Uncle Dwayne." Isn't that sweet?
Yeah, big boys love love.
Well, the next part, not so lovely.
Oh.
I protect the franchise. I protect everybody, including Dwayne. I protected Dwayne more than he'll ever know. And it doesn't matter. He doesn't have to know. But he appreciates it. He knows it. Dwayne has only got one Vin in his life. Dwayne Johnson only has one big brother in this film world, and that's me.
God, that really changed.
He's Uncle Dwayne. I protect this franchise. Like that, he's switched it up. I don't know if he delivered it like that, but I think I liked reading it like that.
I liked what you put into that.
Thank you.
Put her on Fast and the Furious.
I'm going to shake my head.
Oh my God.
Anyway, despite all of this, the two big dogs still attended the film's premiere, with Vin telling Entertainment Tonight that they still love each other and that Dwayne was his boy.
I love the complexity of this relationship already.
I'm confused.
I know.
Do they love each other? Who knows?
Who knows?
When I was making that difficult decision, should there be a Fast and the Furious 8 or not, I called Dwayne and he said, "Brother, I will be there, shoulder to shoulder with you to make sure it's the best movie in history." And he delivered.
Would you say that Fast 8 was the best movie in history?
I'm going to expose myself. Haven't seen any of them.
Okay, fair enough. I think we can say, I think you could even say without seeing it, that an 8th sequel of any film is not going to be the best one.
Anyway.
Yep.
Regardless of the 8th sequel being not so great, at this stage, Dwayne admitted their feud was because of different philosophies. However, once the film was out, fans noticed that Dwayne and Vin weren't in any scenes together. The Rock later confirmed this in a 2018 interview with Rolling Stone. We would include the quote, but it's literally just him telling the journo, "Yes, confirmed, we have no scenes."
Very interesting. In June 2021, Vin Diesel did an interview with Men's Health where he admitted that he did use a little bit of tough love on The Rock on the Fate and the Furious set. He said, "It was a tough character to embody," the Hobbs character, Vin said. "My approach at the time was a lot of tough love to assist in getting that performance where it needed to be. I could give a lot of tough love. Not Fellini-esque, but I would do anything I'd have to do in order to get the performances in anything I'm producing."
Okay, what's Fellini-esque?
Okay, so by Fellini-esque, he's referring to the director Federico Fellini, and he's this Italian director known for directing La Dolce Vita.
Oh, I love that. I love when you add a little Italian inflection on anything.
Oh, I'm leaning in. So he's renowned as one of the best directors of all time, and he is known for being very, very particular about the way he wants things to be. And I just think it's incredibly wild that in this context, Vin Diesel was like, "Yes, I am going to compare myself to Fellini."
I mean, yes.
Yeah, so a month later, in July 2021, The Rock revealed that he would not be returning to the Fast and the Furious franchise, and that the Fate of the Furious would be his last. "I've wished them well," Dwayne told The Hollywood Reporter. "I wish them well on Fast 9, and I wish them the best of luck on Fast 10, and Fast 11, and the rest of the Fast and the Furious movies they do. That will be without me."
That's definitely giving Cardi B's "I wish you well" in hell.
Yeah.
These people have caused us. I wish you well.
I wish you well. In hell.
I really
Burn in hell.
Let's try to.
But after this, a few months later in October, The Rock also replied to Vin Diesel's tough love comment in an interview with Vanity Fair. He said that a part of him felt like he shouldn't comment on it, but then the other half of him let loose. "I've been around the block a lot of times. Unlike Vin, I did not come from the world of theatre. And, I came up differently and was raised differently. I came from a completely different culture and environment, and I go into every project giving it my all. And if I feel like there's some things that need to be squared away and handled and taken care of, then I do it. It's just that simple." So when I read that, just like everyone else, I laughed. I laughed hard. We all laughed. And somewhere, I'm sure Fellini is laughing too. I love that quote.
that.
He also spilled about an on-set meeting he had with Vin in 2016 after his stern little Instagram post. And according to The Rock, it wasn't like a regular sit around the table, shake hands at the end of the meeting kind of thing. He said, I wouldn't call it a peaceful meeting. I would call it a meeting of clarity. He and I had a really good chat in my trailer, and it was out of that chat that it became really crystal clear that we are two separate ends of the spectrum, and agreed to leave it there. In the same chat with Vanity Fair, The Rock performed an absolute smackdown, to use WWE terms, by clarifying that he certainly didn't think of Vin Diesel as his brother, like Vin implied in a previous statement. I have one big brother, and that's my half-brother, and that's it. Oh my God. Mad Dog, what do you think is happening here? What's the vibe?
Well, I think the vibe is I would be very embarrassed to refer to someone as my sibling and then for them to be like, I hate this person. I've got enough siblings.
Yeah, it's cringy.
It is very cringy. Vin's obviously doing a lot of work to be like, there's no beef, he's my blood, but also I own you.
Yeah.
That's what it feels like.
It feels like he wants to it feels like he's just asserting his dominance as a more experienced actor to me and producer. He's like, no, this is my project and you're on my turf kind of vibe.
Yeah.
I also think it's really funny and a bit like, watching them bicker in the press.
Yeah, so it is pretty awkward and they don't like each other. It's hard to watch them bickering. And in October 2021, The Rock admitted to Vanity Fair that sharing the initial post on Instagram during filming was a mistake.
Oh, no.
Oh, who would have
Surprise.
thought? Taking to social media when you're heated. That's like 101, don't do that.
I know. We've all been there, though.
I just don't have the energy. Like, if I'm angry about something, I'm going to call my friends.
I do think that this is getting older, though. Like, I don't think I would act that way today, but I definitely would have maybe like 8 years ago.
So basically, we're calling these 40-year-old men children.
Yes.
Anyway, in the interview, he said, I shouldn't have shared that because at the end of the day, it goes against my DNA. I don't share things like that. Well, caveat, it seems like you do.
He did.
And I take care of that kind of bullshit away from the public. They don't need to know that. That's why I say it wasn't my best day.
We all have bad days.
It's true. And good on him for admitting it.
Yeah.
No bad days except this one.
Yeah.
However, he did note that he actually stood by what he said, just that he shouldn't have taken it public. He also noted that cast members apparently thanked him privately for speaking out about Vin's behaviour.
That's juicy.
And in November, Vin Diesel seemingly responded by sharing an Instagram post of their Fast and Furious characters staring at each other in a tense moment.
You've seen this, right? Like, don't you think that the picture is a little erotic?
Yes, they're like doing a little almost Eskimo kiss.
Well,
and the glare, it's like the glare is tense. It's very tense. You could cut the tension with a knife.
You could. So just to describe, we've got the two men looking at each other. There's maybe like, here you go, about 15 centimetres between their schnozzers. In the background, it looks like there's flames of some sort. They're sweaty.
Do you know why it looks erotic?
Why?
Because Vin is looking at The Rock's mouth. Look at where he's looking.
He is. And also, so his arm is outstretched as if it's touching him on the shoulder, like he's grabbing him on the shoulder. There's something about it that I'm like, oh.
I love love.
I love love too. But so he posted this picture, this like very tense, it's meant to be tense in the films and it's meant to be quite like a pivotal moment, if you will. Yeah, so it looks like they're about to embrace.
Yeah, absolutely. And in the caption, Vin Diesel wrote a message to The Rock, one that I'm sure pissed him off. My little brother Dwayne, the time has come. The world awaits the finale of Fast 10. As you know, my children refer to you as Uncle Dwayne in my house. He really loves this Uncle Dwayne. Anyway.
Yeah.
There is not a holiday that goes by that they don't send you well wishes, but the time has come. Legacy awaits.
So dramatic.
I told you years ago that I was going to fulfill my promise to Pablo, and that's Paul Walker, another actor in the franchise who tragically died in a car accident. I swore that we would reach and manifest the best in the finale, which is 10. I say this out of love, but you must show up. Do not leave the franchise idle. You have a very important role to play. Hobbs can't be played by no other. I hope that you rise to the occasion and fulfill your destiny. How would you feel if I made an Instagram post and captioned it like that towards you?
Firstly, I love the drama, but my eyes would roll so hard. Like, I'd be pissed. I think if I was The Rock in this scenario, I'd be like, whoa, that's so ballsy. And you're obviously going to get this crazy fandom that are really into these films, that have made these films happen for like, what, 10? Who would just be in your DMs being like, please, Hobbs, please. In conclusion, if you wrote that about me, I would be really pissed.
Yeah, I think that's fair. And The Rock was pissed. In December, he told CNN that he was surprised by Vin's post because he had told him privately in June that he would not be returning to the franchise. He also said that it was a typical example of Vin Diesel's manipulation and that he didn't really like how he brought up Paul Walker's death or his children. So fair. I mean, my immediate thought is that's very manipulative.
Agreed.
If someone's spoken to you in private about something and you're popping out into the public saying, come on, do it. Like, people would be in your DMs being like, please do it, please.
Oh, 100%. Because he knows that he's got, like, this community of people that are on his side.
Yeah. Anyway, so in the interview with CNN, The Rock said, it's unfortunate that this public dialogue has muddied the waters. This past June, when Vin and I actually connected, not over social media, I told him directly and privately that I would not be returning to the franchise. I was firm yet cordial with my words and said that I would always be supportive of the cast and always root for the franchise to be successful, but there was no chance I would return. But he's a damn liar. And in 2019, The Rock kind of, made a return to the franchise with his own spin-off film called Fast and Furious Presents Hobbs and Shaw, which saw The Rock team up with Jason Statham.
What's the job?
What was that?
That was a Jason Statham impression.
What?
No, because he always says, in all the things he's in, he always goes like, what's the job? Or like he's like the best man for the job.
Get the job. Start a new job in the morning.
I don't usually do this sort of a job.
There was a problem with the job.
The best jobs are the ones nobody ever knows you were there.
Come on.
Okay, well, moving on.
Okay, but no, seriously, what is the job? What is the film about?
Okay, so Jason Statham's role in this film, he's a British mercenary. And he teams up with Hobbs to stop a genetically enhanced supervillain. Good stuff.
Oh.
But not one singular Vin Diesel was in sight, which is weird because he's a big guy and you can't miss him.
Jeez, I feel like this franchise has really changed from its origins, from like speeding cars and like I think it was like DVD fraud or something like that to what is it? Genetically enhanced supervillains. We've come a long way.
So it's like you wouldn't steal a car too. You wouldn't steal a genetically enhanced supervillain.
You can definitely see we have not seen this spin-off. I think it's really apparent.
I honestly have no idea what's going on. We should have watched the movies in preparation.
Yeah. Well, I'm not going to watch more than the first one. I've seen the first one years ago, but I'm not going to watch 10 movies. That's true. I think that's fair. Sorry.
No. 4 years later, though, in 2023, Dwayne did make a surprise appearance in a post-credit scene of the main franchise in Fast X, which hinted that Hobbs would be back in the franchise again alongside Vin. Let me just say, the people lost their minds.
The Rock appearing in an end credit scene happened because director Louis Leterrier and Vin Diesel came together, worked out a plot, filmed this movie. Then they kind of called The Rock up and were like, you've got to come see this. He said, the peace treaty, I kind of brokered it. We all did. Ultimately, the movie did. We reached out to Dwayne and his team and said, just come watch the movie. You have to love the movie first. So he came to see the movie and really loved it, and then we started talking. It was very smooth. After that, The Rock returned to the franchise as his character Luke Hobbs, and with that he decided to put his differences with Vin Diesel aside. In an interview with Entertainment Tonight after the Fast X premiere, Vin Diesel praised the cast and the working environment on set. We try to create an environment where people can do their best work. That's all actors really want, is to feel as though they're supported to create unique characters that last forever and that you see in this franchise. It feels like a very different image to what Dwayne has been conjuring over the last few years.
Yeah, absolutely it does. And in an Instagram video in 2023, The Rock confirmed he was returning to the franchise and said that the conflict between him and Vin is in the past. Despite having our differences, me and Vin, we've been like brothers for years, and despite our differences, when you lead with number one, resolve, but you also think about the future and plans that are much bigger than ourselves.
You did a really good job reading that quote out.
Thank you. It was really hard and I don't really know what it means.
Yeah, I think a lot of these quotes have been so convoluted and tricky to read from a page. What is with that?
I think they're just using words. It's a word salad, isn't it?
That was a word salad. That was so hard to read. Anyway,
if we wanted another wrestler to enter the chat, we have one.
Oh.
Welcome John Cena. He became a part of the franchise eventually, and he told Dax Shepard's Armchair Expert podcast that The Rock and Vin butted heads because they were similar. You have two very alpha-driven people. You get two, and there can only be one. I know the room and just kind of adapt to what's going on. I'm being invited into someone's home, into someone's family, and regardless of how they look physically in comparison to another human being, this is one IP that is 9 installments, and it's an action movie. That's rarefied air. It really does, it gets you thinking, doesn't it, these quotes?
They are a lot. And also not even... What's the word? What are these men even saying?
I mean, I feel like what they are saying is what we kind of gathered earlier. Two very similar men having a dick swinging contest.
Yes.
Who's going to win? John Cena doesn't know. He's just going to sit back and not say a thing.
Yeah.
Do we reckon?
Yeah, because he's saying here, like, you know, their home in this quote is Fast and the Furious franchise.
That's true. That's their family.
And so, yeah, that's their family. So he's coming into their family and he's like, I don't want to cause a scene because he's also another beefy bloke from the WWE.
Yeah, he's John Cena, not John Cena.
Yes. Yes. So, yeah, no, that is what he's trying to say. All we're getting at is that these quotes are so wordy and not entirely clear.
They could be less clunky for sure.
I think if this was written down, it could have used a cheeky edit.
Yes.
The most recent sign of simmering beef, or at least an acknowledgement that there was beef at one point, was at the Golden Globes in January 2025. Vin was there to present the Golden Globe for the cinematic box office achievement when he paused to greet Twain. Shall we roll the clip?
Yep, roll the tape.
Hey, Dwayne.
So he says, hey, Dwayne, and then it just pans to The Rock.
And The Rock is grinning.
Grinning, but like, I don't know if he's necessarily happy about that.
Maybe the man was too stunned to speak.
A few days after this, Vin Diesel did share a pic of the pair together at the Fast 5 premiere with the caption, all love, always. Very sweet. So how do you feel about the resolution here? Where do you think they stand?
Oh my God. Did they ever really meet a resolution or did they just ghost each other after? Because the movies are done now, aren't they? Are the movies done? Maybe that's also another reason they had beef. Maybe Vin Diesel so desperately just wanted to keep milking this for what it was worth, but The Rock was like, please, no, I can't keep doing this.
I think that's so it. Also, just so what we were saying before, the final installment of the main Fast and the Furious series titled Fast and the Furious 11 or Fast X Part 2 is scheduled for release in June 2026.
Oh, so there will be a... That was weird.
Yeah, so there's more coming.
So there is more coming. Well, it really is the gift that keeps on giving.
Truly.
And will Vin Diesel and The Rock star together? Only time will tell.
Yeah, I'm sure they will. I think that there is something that to be said about how much money this franchise churns out and how much money they get for reuniting after having a public spat. I think we all love drama, as this whole podcast will tell you. We love drama, we love beef. But I also think that people love the resolution of drama and beef. And in this case, even the idea of their characters kind of still having this kind of drama, butting heads with each other is a good thing for how lucrative the upcoming films could be. And I think that's the biggest thing here. I don't think that they're actually like resolved. I don't think they like working together.
Do you also think there could be an element of they've just fake created this drama so we stay engaged? I just thought of that then.
Maybe.
Because like... if you honestly hated someone that much, you wouldn't come back.
I would if the paycheck was big enough.
Would you really?
I would be really professional and I would just stick to the job.
Well, then explain the Christmas cards. If you the well wishes, the Uncle Dwayne-isms.
Okay.
Like, I honestly think if someone is genuinely sending you well wishes and Christmas cards and talking to your kids and in your house, they're the Uncle Dwayne.
Look, I think the Uncle Dwayne thing, you're onto something. But when it comes to Christmas cards and stuff, I think of like how Tom Cruise sends everybody that he's worked with that pineapple coconut cake, which he does. You just get on a list and then he just does it. I think Christmas cards, when you're that rich and famous, potentially it's just keeping everyone in Hollywood happy. Because like, I think that's shit I would do if I was rich.
Oh yeah, but you're a kiss ass.
So true. It's true though.
The side eye. I'm like, you fucking would.
So
I couldn't think of anything worse. I don't even give cards to my friends.
No, I don't really do that. But I do feel like, well, firstly, this episode, I'm an iPad baby and I'm a kiss ass.
Sorry, darling.
But yeah, no, I think personally, they're putting aside their like butting heads. They're putting aside their animosity towards working together purely for the paycheck. And I don't blame them for that. I don't.
No, it's true. And do we have any more points to add to that?
No. However, before we wrap up, I would like to show you a little musical number.
I love it. I love when we do musical numbers.
I know, High Stakes loves musical numbers. So I'd love to show you a clip from the Kelly Clarkson show in 2020. So this is a time where all of the audience are like on screens.
Right, pandemic-esque.
Pandemic-esque, and I think this is a good way to end the ep. So Vin Diesel did a song with Kygo during the pandemic because he wasn't acting, you see.
Yeah, and we do forget that he had a musical background as well, which
Yes.
is crazy. He just doesn't look like the type of guy that would have a musical background.
No, he
He doesn't
doesn't.
even really look like the type of guy that would have an acting background.
And talk about Fellini.
That's true. No, that's true. So maybe he has more emotional depth than we thought.
Maybe we're the problem.
Maybe we've
Anyway,
stereotyped the bald man.
No, we actually have stereotyped the bald man. But he has leaned into it.
It's true. 11 movies about cars.
Truly.
Vin Diesel is his name.
Brum brum. Okay, shall we watch his little song with Kygo?
Hit me with the good
It's
stuff.
called Feel Like I Do. All right, we'll roll the clip.
Without further ado, here's a sneak peek of Vin's collaboration with Kygo.
I
Feel
love
like
Kelly
I do.
Clarkson.
The cover art is quite interesting.
He looks so cute there.
Looks like an old Instagram post.
Well, it looks like he's just used the Valencia filter.
That's exactly what I was getting at.
Look at all the people in the... Like, we're going to roll this clip if you watch on YouTube, but it's just a bunch of people on screens kind of swaying side to side at home listening to this song. And they're not showing Vin Diesel, they're just showing the picture of the album. They're right, though. It's kind of...
Man's got bars. And obviously a bit of auto-tune.
Anyway, what do you think about this song, Mad Dog?
I kind of like it.
I like it too. I think it's hard not to like that song.
You know what? That and Timothy Chalamet's Timmy Tim rap.
Your favourites?
These are two songs that are going on my Spotify.
Yeah. I love that. I also still really like Katy Perry's version of I Don't Hook Up. I've been singing that all week.
Well, I think we've covered all of our bases.
Absolutely, we have.
And with that note, that's all we have time for today.
Thanks for listening. You can listen to High Stakes on YouTube, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts.
And don't forget you can follow us on Instagram and TikTok at High Stakes Pod.
Love ya. Bye.